Why do the weak always try to explain themselves? Because deep down, they want permission to exist, but those who rule never defend. In this video, we'll uncover a brutal truth. Every time you defend yourself, you lose power. You'll learn how to flip the situation without saying a word of defense and how to make those who doubt you regret it. In the court of power, perception outweighs truth. The moment you begin to defend yourself, you surrender the throne of dominance and step down into the pit where justifications rot beside excuses. You may believe your defense is a shield, but to those watching, it appears as a confession dressed in panic. The very act of defending implies you fear the accusation, and fear, in the eyes of the powerful, is blood in the water. The strong understand this. Reality does not matter, only appearance does. When someone levels a charge at you, whether in public or in private, the words are less important than your reaction. If you flinch, even slightly, you grant the accusation legitimacy. You make it real. You give it breath. Your reaction becomes their proof. The more passionately you argue against it, the more attention you give it, and attention is power. You take the weight of their words and carry them on your back, dragging them through the court of opinion in the hope that someone will absolve you. But the king asks no one's permission. Consider how authority functions. Those at the top do not explain their decisions to the bottom. A ruler gives no reasoning for why he promotes one man and exiles another. To explain would be to acknowledge a higher standard to which he himself must answer. Power, when real, answers to no one. When you explain, when you clarify, when you justify, you place yourself beneath the judgment of others. And the instant you are beneath them, they rule you. A public figure who stands before a crowd and spends 5 minutes trying to clear his name has already lost it. A commander who argues his innocence while his troops question his orders has already forfeited command. A man who insists, "I am not what they say I am," confirms that the accusations have pierced him. It does not matter whether what is said is true. What matters is that he acknowledged it. Power is not about truth. It is about dominance over the narrative, even when you are innocent, especially when you are innocent. Defending yourself is poison. It allows the other side to set the stage. They speak and you respond. They lead and you follow. The one who defends is no longer the master of the conversation. He becomes its subject. This is not a strategy built on arrogance. It is a recognition of the brutal mechanics of human psychology. People do not analyze arguments with reason. They do not listen for truth. They feel strength or weakness in your tone, in your posture, in your silence or your panic. And the man who defends himself signals weakness at every level. Weakness of position, weakness of mind, weakness of spirit. He does not appear sure of who he is. He appears afraid of being misinterpreted, misunderstood, mislabeled. But no king fears being misunderstood. He is the standard. He does not conform to judgment. He makes it. Silence is not absence. It is a presence more terrifying than noise. In the domain of influence and manipulation, silence is the sharpest blade. When a man refuses to speak in the face of accusation or provocation, he creates a vacuum. And human nature abhors a vacuum. Into that void, others pour their assumptions, their fears, their fantasies. Silence makes you a mirror, and people project onto you what they most fear or desire. It is the art of forcing the world to speak in your place, while you maintain control without lifting a finger. The common man believes that speech brings clarity, that to explain is to resolve tension. But in power, tension is currency. The wise do not speak to comfort others. They withhold to disturb. When a charge is made against you and you answer with silence, it unsettles the accuser more than any denial ever could. It suggests confidence. It implies secrets. It tells them, without words, that their attack is beneath your notice. And that implication creates confusion. Did they overstep? Did they make a mistake? Are you planning something in return? This uncertainty becomes unbearable. Humans crave closure. When someone says something provocative, they expect a reaction. If they don't receive one, they become obsessed with understanding why. They repeat themselves, they escalate, they invent explanations to make sense of your calm, and every theory they create in their mind is a trap of their own making. You, the silent one, remain above them, still, composed, unfazed. Silence shifts the burden of interpretation. When you say nothing, the audience around you is left to decide what your silence means. To some, it will signal strength. To others, menace. To a few, perhaps even innocence. But what matters is that they are doing the work. They are analyzing you. They are thinking about you. They are adjusting their behavior because of your stillness. That is the seed of control. Those who react quickly, who blurt out denials or explanations, remove mystery. They give others too much data, too much certainty. But the one who says nothing becomes a question that must be answered, a puzzle that must be solved. This is why silence is not passive, it is active domination. It causes others to feel exposed while you remain concealed. It's the presence of a sword still in its sheath, seen but not used. The possibility of action is more terrifying than the action itself. Once the blow is delivered, the fear ends. But when silence hangs in the air, people wait. They prepare. They hesitate. In a confrontation, when all eyes are on you, and you remain still, utterly still, you shift the emotional balance of the room. You are no longer responding to pressure, you are applying it. The accuser, expecting a fight, is now left with silence and must grapple with his own echo. That silence is now a battlefield, and you hold the high ground. Not because you spoke, but because you did not. You have created a moment that cannot be undone, a pause more powerful than 1,000 rebuttals. To react is to accept the terms set by another. It is to dance to their rhythm, to fight on their chosen battlefield. In the pursuit of power, this is suicide. The one who reacts is already beneath the one who provoked. That is why the wise never react. They reframe. They do not answer accusations, they redirect them. They do not swim in the mud of explanation. They climb to higher ground and force others to follow or be left behind. Reframing is not evasion, it is control. It is the art of shifting the entire conversation without ever lowering yourself into it. When someone accuses you of arrogance, the average man will defend, "I'm not arrogant, I just." And in that moment, he has submitted to the charge. His tone becomes apologetic, his posture weak, his language reactive. But the powerful man does not deny the label, he replaces it. Confidence unsettles the insecure, he says, and just like that, the frame changes. Now the problem is not his character, but their fragility. The charge dissolves because he never engaged with it. He destroyed its context. This technique is more than psychological trickery. It is the architecture of dominance. When you reframe, you assert the right to define meaning. The power to name things is the power to rule them. He who defines leads. He who accepts definitions follows. Every argument is a war over frames. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome, because people think within the limits of the frame they are given. If you are accused of being too harsh, and you reply that clarity is often mistaken for cruelty, you have reframed harshness as clarity. You haven't denied the behavior, you've upgraded it. You've turned critique into virtue. Reframing also protects you from entrapment. Most accusations are designed not to seek truth, but to bait a response. The moment you explain yourself, you accept the hidden premise. You agree that you must justify your existence, your ambition, your decisions. But if you reframe, you reject the premise entirely and build a new one in which you are already in the right. This doesn't just confuse the accuser. It forces them to start over, to fight on new ground you have prepared. This tactic is most effective in public confrontations. Crowds do not analyze logic. They respond to tone, symbolism, and emotional strength. A man who calmly reframes an attack appears unshakable. His refusal to engage in the petty drama makes him look noble. The crowd, searching for certainty, instinctively sides with the one who appears most in control of the narrative. The attacker begins to seem like a child trying to pick a fight with a statue. The more he pushes, the more dignified you appear. This is the secret. Reframing does not just protect your power, it amplifies it. To master this art, one must learn to see every confrontation not as a threat, but as an opportunity to elevate. You never meet your enemies on their level. You rise and force them to climb or fall. A man shouts, "You betrayed me." You reply, "I remained loyal to the truth when others worshipped comfort." The conversation is no longer about betrayal. It is now about truth and weakness. And you, not he, have defined the stakes. This is reframing, not a defense, not a counterattack, but a total shift of the field itself. The powerful do not waste time explaining themselves. They move, they act, and they let the world interpret. Speech is cheap, and the more words a man uses to justify who he is or what he has done, the more fragile he appears. Power is not proven in declarations. It is recognized in results. If you wish to command respect, you must be seen doing what others only talk about. When you act with certainty, you broadcast a message louder than any argument could deliver, that you are above explanation, that your presence alone is sufficient evidence. People don't follow words, they follow outcomes. They follow movement, certainty, and consistency. A leader who must convince others with long speeches, disclaimers, or apologies may win temporary sympathy, but he loses the throne. Power is visual, visceral, symbolic. A single, unflinching decision carries more authority than an entire essay of justification. The masses remember what they see. If you wish to dominate their minds, give them images, not explanations. Let them witness your rise, your results, your ruthless clarity, and allow them to conclude on their own that you are untouchable. There is a strange paradox in human psychology. The more you speak in your defense, the more people begin to suspect you. They interpret your need to clarify as a signal of insecurity. But when you show strength through action, when you make a bold move without announcing it, when you deliver results without talking about the process, you appear not just competent, but invincible. Your silence becomes confidence. Your refusal to engage becomes authority. The more mysterious your reasoning, the more powerful your image. This is why kings issue commands without commentary and why generals act before speaking. Their reputation is built not on what they say, but on what they accomplish. A single calculated action can dismantle an entire network of rumors. When others speculate, when they talk behind your back, resist the urge to explain. Instead, execute. Let your next move be so decisive, so unexpected, that it silences every whisper. Let them wonder why you did it. Let them argue over your motives. The more they talk, the more you dominate their thinking. And all the while, you remain above the noise, calm, composed, unquestioned. When you control perception through action, you also master the flow of attention. The weak chase the spotlight to explain themselves. The strong build such gravity that the spotlight chases them. When you enter a room, people should know your presence not by your words, but by the effect you have. Your reputation should walk ahead of you like a shadow cast by fire. And this reputation is not formed by speeches. It is formed by decisive movements made without hesitation. Every time you act without explaining, you reinforce the idea that you do not owe anyone clarity. That your position, your power, and your presence are self-evident. This strategy also disorients your enemies. They expect reaction, they want justification, so they can twist your words, debate your meaning, or trap you in contradictions. But when you bypass the verbal battlefield entirely and move straight to execution, they are left floundering. They have nothing to argue with because you never spoke. You robbed them of ammunition. You advanced while they were still setting their traps. This is the power of silence paired with action. It renders all opposition irrelevant. When others rely on manipulation, narrative, and opinion, you rely on momentum. You become untouchable not because you speak better, but because you act first and never look back. True power is silent. It does not speak in its own defense because it does not need to. The ruler never lowers himself to answer common questions, to settle petty disputes, or to respond to the whispers of lesser men. His presence is his defense. His authority is his proof. And when his name is dragged through mud, it is not his voice that clears it. It is the voices of others. To be defended by others while you remain still is one of the highest demonstrations of dominance. It signals that your value is so deeply embedded in the minds of those around you that they will rise before you even lift a finger. Those who attempt to defend themselves reveal something fragile. They show that their standing is not yet solid, that their image requires constant maintenance, that their position is still negotiable. But when others come to your defense, unsolicited and without instruction, it sends a clear message. You are untouchable not because of what you say, but because of what you mean to others. You become an idea, something larger than yourself. And ideas are not defended by themselves. They are protected by believers, loyalists, and disciples. To reach this level of indirect control, one must first cultivate loyalty without appearing to demand it. You must operate in such a way that others depend on your presence, your guidance, or your power. When people benefit from your strength, they will naturally guard your name, not out of obligation, but out of self-interest. Your fall would signal their fall, your humiliation would reflect on them, and so, in protecting you, they protect their own place in your shadow. This is not friendship. It is a strategic alliance based on perception and gain. And it is far more enduring than affection. When you are attacked and your followers or subordinates rise in your defense, it reverses the frame entirely. The attacker no longer seems courageous or righteous. He looks bitter, isolated, and outnumbered. The scene transforms into a spectacle, the silent leader, untouched and aloof, while others tear down the one who dared to challenge him. This not only protects your image, but elevates it. You become something others rally around, and in doing so, your enemies find themselves not just battling you, but everyone aligned with you. Even more potent is when your defense comes from unexpected voices, those not officially allied with you, those not under your control. When outsiders, neutral observers, or even former critics rise to your defense, it solidifies your aura. It shows that your character, your authority, and your impact extend beyond personal loyalty. It suggests that you are not just respected, but necessary. That your presence alone creates order, and your absence would breed chaos. To make others defend you, you must become essential, not emotionally, but strategically. You must offer value that cannot easily be replaced. You must influence events that others depend on, and you must remain visible yet distant, always slightly above reach. This distance is critical. If you are too accessible, people will treat you as equal. If you are too involved, they will expect you to defend yourself. But when you remain above, even in moments of controversy, your silence becomes an invitation for others to act on your behalf. It becomes a signal that they are responsible for maintaining the stability that surrounds your image. This also grants you a form of plausible deniability. When others speak for you, when they silence your enemies, you remain untouched by the dirt of confrontation. You preserve your mystique. You avoid the ugliness of argument and still reap the benefits of victory. The attacker may lash out, but it is not you who responds. It is your world, your structure, your reputation that fights back. They find themselves battling not a man, but a legacy, and no man wins against a legacy. Power does not beg, does not explain, and never lowers itself to defend. The moment you justify your actions, you grant your enemies authority over your image. You concede that their opinions matter, that their accusations deserve answers. But true dominance lies in stillness, letting others speak while you remain untouched. You do not meet words with words. You meet them with presence, with silence, with decisive action, and above all, with a structure so strong that others speak for you long before you ever need to. To defend yourself is to descend. To remain silent is to rise. Let them accuse, let them speculate, let them shout into the wind. You are not here to win arguments. You are here to be obeyed, to be respected, to be remembered. Say nothing, and let the world adjust to your silence.